Why has the Ministry of Defence requested numerous public community certificates in this case? That is not transparency. Miss Brady Brown, knowing what happened to her husband is not a threat to national security. The Brown family, just like every other family impacted by our conflict, has the right to know what happened to their loved ones. The PSNI Chief Constable agrees a public inquiry is the only way forward, as has 2 Crown Justices, and we await shortly the outcome from the Lady Chief Justice on the outcome of the cowardly appeal by the Secretary of State. Only a public inquiry can reveal the truth about Sean Brown's abduction and murder. Like the Hillsborough families, like the Grenfell families, like the Stephen Lawrence parents, we will struggle until we get the truth of what happened, even if those in power won't tell us. I call on the British government to stop the delay and cover-up, work with all families and the Irish government and all political parties across the island to find an agreed way forward, one that returns to the key principles and mechanisms agreed at Stormont House in 2014. Standing here today, I cannot help but also think of our brothers and sisters in Palestine. We welcome the commencement of a ceasefire, and we hope that it is a lasting ceasefire. We pray that Palestine does not see any more of its own Bloody Sundays, or bloody any days, in the time ahead. As the Bloody Sunday Trust says, we occupy one world, and so there is only one struggle. So too do we say that there are many hearts, but we all share the same heartbeat. Gora Mila Mayagov.
Thank you, Paul, for we've got a few more minutes, and I'm just going to be brief, and then we will there'll be nobody disappearing. We'll take a group photograph. Anybody disappears will not be invited back next year. You can say a few words. What's your name?
Carol.
Huh?
Carol.
Carol.
Yeah.
You're going to speak to us.
Yeah, my name's Carol, and I'm part of an organisation called IJAN, the International Jewish Anti-Zionist Network. And when we march in the Jewish picket, when we say Viva, Viva Palestina, we don't only mean Palestine, we mean Ireland, we mean all who are oppressed. Our let's say, most important statement is always with the oppressed, never with the oppressors. So when you talk about Ireland, and when you talk about Palestine, and when you talk about ceasefires, you're talking about the same thing. It's an honour for me to be here. My ex-husband was a good Irishman, terrible husband, but a good Irishman. And he unfortunately is no more. But he would have been there forgetting our divorce, forgetting our bitterness, to say we must stick together, we must fight together, no more bloody Sundays, let's have a real ceasefire, not a ceasefire on paper, a real ceasefire in my lifetime. And I want to end by telling you why I'm on this earth. They were a young couple and a Jewish couple, and the woman was a Palestinian supporter. She had a Palestinian British Mandate passport. She considered herself a Palestinian, and she said to her young man, they're going to win, I don't know what to do. And the young man said, I'll cheer you up, calm down. And 9 months later, I appeared. So I'm only here because of Palestine, and as I'm here, it is my duty to support all organisations who fight genocide and what happened in Ireland was nothing but genocide. Viva, viva Palestina! Viva, viva!
Palestina. Thank you, Carol. Now, we hadn't invited Carol, but was it lovely to hear Carol speak to us and make the comparison between Ireland and Palestine. Now, here we are 53 years later, and we're looking at a coffin and the pictures of the young boys and men who were slaughtered that day. And you maybe ask yourself, why are we here? Well, I'll tell you why we're here. We're here because we don't forget. We never forget what the British have done in Ireland, because it was occupation. The same as the Palestinian people are occupied. Wherever you had occupation, you had brutality, murder and mayhem. It brought nothing good whenever it was perpetrated. Now, I go back a little bit in Ireland. I'll make the comparison between the Irish people and the Palestinian people. We never forget. We go back to the time of Cromwell. He's over there somewhere in a statue. We haven't taken him down yet, but he will come down one day. Right? And we go on further up to the time of the Fenians, the Easter Rising. And what happened each time? The British establishment, whether it come from there or from some army general, came in and pulled their guns on us and massacred us. The same as you see the Israelis do today in Palestine. That's all they have, is our guns. But we have a lot more. We're more powerful than the biggest gun or the biggest bomb they can drop. We're much more powerful when we stand together as a people. Last year, we see the demise of a war criminal, General Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was in Derry on that day, on the 30th of January 1972. And Michael Jackson was directly responsible. He was a war criminal and he got away with it. He died in October the past year in 24. And good riddance. And I hope it's nice and hot where he's gone. Oh, it's not alone Jackson. There was Wilford and Jim mentioned another one. There was about 4 of them that were responsible. But Jackson had a history. In 1971, Jackson was in Belfast. And he was in Ballymurphy. And he was responsible for the death of 11 innocent people in Ballymurphy. Jackson was no good. Jackson grew in the British Empire or the British Army. He went to the highest level of the British Army, decorated. He made 3 trips to Ireland. In 71, he was back again in 84, and he finished off there in 1990. He ended up in the Balkans, and after that he retired and he started to work for some security company. Now you know what the security companies do. They work for agencies like the Yanks, the British and the Israelis. He was an advisor. Now, enough about Jackson because he really upsets me. But having said that, and it's wonderful to be here today to remember the victims of Bloody Sunday, because the sun has shone on us. No matter how bad the weather is, and it's the same with war, it will pass. It will one day pass. The Palestinians, it's like they're living in the weather, it's a storm, it's a nightmare, but it will pass. And I say to the Palestinian supporters here today, we will stick with it because it will pass. If it doesn't pass in our time, the next generation will see it through, and Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. And make no mistake about it. Now, we're just going to finish off. We're going to stand together and we're going to do a minute's silence. But before we commence that, we're going to take a group photograph. We'll take the advice of the photographer where we stand, either where we are or on that side. To stand together for 1 minute silence. Please come in together by the boat. Okay, thank you. Now, we want to come round here for the photograph. We're going to face that way. Now, everybody that's holding a cross, you hold it up. Everybody else come round here. We want to get a group photograph. Because
see all the placards and all the crosses.
Yeah.